Nothing dramatic happened. There was no collapse, no crisis, no moment where everything fell apart. Life didn't explode. It didn't even slow down, it just continued. Most people expect change to arrive loudly, through failure, through loss, through something obvious. But that's not how it usually happens. Most lives don't shift when something breaks. They shift when nothing does. When days remain functional, predictable, acceptable. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because when nothing feels wrong enough, nothing feels urgent enough either. Days start to blur together, not because life is empty, but because it's familiar. Morning routines repeat themselves. The same alarms, the same movements, the same mental loops. You tell yourself you'll deal with certain things later, when you have more energy, when life calms down, when you feel ready, but later never arrives loudly. It just keeps getting postponed quietly. You plan more than you act. You think more than you move. You prepare without stepping forward. Discomfort becomes something you manage instead of confront. Distraction becomes something you rely on instead of question. You stay busy, but not directed, occupied, but not progressing. And because nothing feels like a mistake, nothing feels like a warning either, you start calling it balance. You tell yourself you're being patient, that timing matters, that pushing too hard isn't healthy. And sometimes that's true. But sometimes patience is just avoidance with better language. You don't quit your routines, even when they no longer serve you, because they're familiar. Not good, just familiar. Familiar feels safe, even when it's slowly draining you. And so you protect patterns that no longer protect you. There's a pattern underneath all of this. It isn't laziness. It isn't fear in the dramatic sense. It's comfort maintenance. Avoidance that doesn't feel like avoidance. Delay that feels reasonable. Routine that feels responsible. Nothing is obviously wrong, which is why it lasts so long. This pattern doesn't rush you. It waits. Years pass this way. Not wasted, just unclaimed. You still function. You still show up. You still meet expectations. But something changes quietly. Energy lowers. Curiosity fades. Urgency dissolves. You stop asking hard questions because nothing forces you to. And one day, you look back, not with panic, but with confusion. Not wondering what went wrong, but when things stopped moving. Because there was no moment that told you to stop. You just did. Time doesn't warn you when it's passing. It doesn't interrupt your routine. It doesn't demand attention. It moves politely. Days turn into weeks, weeks into years. And because everything still works, you assume everything is fine. But working isn't the same as moving forward. At some point, I realized nothing had blocked me. There was no enemy, no obstacle, no dramatic failure. Just a long stretch of waiting that felt reasonable at the time. And that realization didn't feel loud. It felt heavy. Maybe the problem isn't that life went wrong. Maybe the problem is that it never interrupted you. Time kept moving. You stayed still, and no one told you to stop.